Nothing more.
Actually, just open the book.
I mean, yes or no?
The first time on your sniffles?
Yeah, sure. All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Kuf Memches Kemach. We got maybe around a third of the way down. The shorter Amud Aleph, a little longer Amud Beis. We'll stop towards the bottom. Bezos Hashem. So we got to Iboilu. So it says Dekel. So now we're trying to think we should go over the rules. We'll go over the rules for the next case. A couple cases. All right. So now we discussed yesterday by Matas Krimer that a person gives away everything and then he gets better. So that was from the Mishnah, right? So it turns out that he thought he was going to die. Now they didn't die. He never intended to go ahead and do it, and therefore it's like Khan. If he gives away only some stuff, right? So then
Can't he change it?
at what point?
After he's dead?
No.
If he gets better?
Can he change the whole thing?
Right. So if he gives away stuff and then he gets better, but it's only some of his stuff, so we'll say that no, he probably anticipated that he was going to get better, or else he would have given away everything. By the fact that he didn't, right? So therefore, that he gets that which he gave it away is a good gift. Fine. Iboilu. Dekel leachar u'peirosav liacher.
Moral. Take mine.
Careful with that one.
But Artie? Yeah. No. Where's mine, man? Take mine. No. Eddie might have it. I don't know. What's that right there on the building? Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Fine. So he gives it. He gives the tree to one person, and the peiros of the acher and the fruits, the future fruits in that tree, he gives it to somebody else. Mahu. What?
Current fruit.
I'm sorry. Future. Right.
Current fruit.
So, but really, in order for this, we just saw that you can't give away something. All right. So how is that? So really, he must be giving away the tips of the branches where the fruits will come from. So basically, that is going to Shimon, right? Reuben gets the tree, and Shimon will get the fruits. And by saying the fruits, he really means the tips of the branches. But did he mean that, or when he said, "I'm giving the tree,"
it's not there yet.
Correct.
It's
Or maybe when he gave to Reuben, he gave Reuben the entire tree. Therefore, there's nothing left on the tree to give to Shimon. So, Stack.
We'll
Put it down. I want to put it in my right hand so I can make the bracha while it's in my right hand. We'll get it. Fine. Says that Misha Magal Peri, hello, Shire. Or does he leave over space on the tree or not? And and if we say, okay, when he gives it to Reuven gets the tree, and Shimon gets the fruits, i.e., he gets the tips of the branches where the fruits grow, that does not work because he already gave away the entire tree to Reuven. What Eliatzma? What out to himself? He says to Reuven, I'm giving away Reuven the entire tree, and I'm going to keep for myself the fruits that will come along later, i.e., the tips of the branches where they grow. Mahu, what do we say over there? So Amar Rav Nachman says, if we say that dekel goes to the palm tree goes to one person, the fruits go to another, loy havishir, that doesn't work because he gave everything away to Reuven. How Malcolm Perry so, but we say, but in the case of where the tree is left for one person, right? And that was for himself, and Shir Malcolm Perry, my timer, that does work. He leaves over himself. My timer, what is the reason? We say, since he's giving it the part that he's leaving over, that he's withholding, is for himself, that a person will appropriately, wholeheartedly not give away everything. But when it comes to Reuven and Shimon won't get anything. But Reuven, and then he gets left over himself, that would work.
He's trying to teach Shimon? I mean, it's like,
no.
Why do we think he's not really trying to be sincere?
Because he gave away the tree, and there's no reason to think that he gave away the tree minus the branches. He intended to do it. There wasn't enough. Let's say I said, I'm giving Alan my house, and you can live in the house. So we say that doesn't work. I really thought it works because I thought.
Right, so then I don't understand how it then works. If I'm thinking it's working for Shimon, how am I and it doesn't, how am I thinking it works for me and it does?
Because when it comes to you, you're more generous. And we'll soon, actually, at the end of today's Gemara, we'll see at the end, there's going to be levels of maybe hektish is one thing, or giving tzedakah will, be another thing that maybe a person, has more sincerity in those. But definitely for one person to another person, when he's not getting anything in return, not that a person is stingy, but he won't necessarily, he's already doing a favor. So I got to think, so I don't know, it doesn't do everything. But I completely hear you, Title.
Mark can't change the scenario. Okay, let's say he did give the whole treat. Whenever afterwards he changes, well, I'm gonna give it free to somebody else.
Oh, okay, Alan. We're going to see it on the base. That's good. Very good. All right, that's it. Very close to that. So, so Anan. So this whole conversation actually took place at the Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish. It was taught regarding something that was stated by Rabbi Shimon by Rish Lakish. Rabbi Shimon Lakish, Hamaycher bayis lechaver, one who sells his house to his friend. On the condition that the diuta, right, that's like the upper story, which is on top of the house, we'll soon see basically that's basically sort of like roof rights, or I can basically build off of the roof there, right? So he says, Almanashi diuta yona shali. So diuta yona shalom. Indeed, that does work. And he boiled. I'm sorry, yeah, for sure, yeah. That over there, it's like more like the ikr, right? The ikr is you really want the rooftop, right? Versus this. Fine. So turn the page.
Wow.
That was right-handed.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's a lot.
One of the best
See?
podcasts I've heard the whole day.
Thank you. So boy, you should have came for brachos today.
Thanks, good. I know. I was trying to.
All right, so boy, bias lecho due to liachad. What about this case? He's he's giving the house to one person, and the diuta, the one we just said the person can leave for himself, right? He actually wants to leave that for Shimon. Mahu. Is this considered to be something that he leaves over the rights or not? And in teams of later buys that due to have a shear. What chutz meduta mahu? And if you say that's not shear, what if he says that he's going to retain it for himself? Samarav Nachman in teams of later buys that due to the loy have a shear. Chutz meduta have a shear. That taka does work. Why? According to Rav Zvi, Damar. Right? So it was a case over there where a person sold something, and he left over an area for himself that was mashma, and then he verbalized it further. So why did he verbalize if he really didn't need to verbalize it? So this is the Gemara earlier, a couple months ago we learned this, or like 4 months ago. Maybe a little less, maybe 3 months ago. Right? So over there, so go like Rav Zvi, the Shem Ratza Laitzi Bazizin Maitzi Alma Kevan the Shire Diuta Makam Zizin Namesher. Right? Since over there, right, that he left the space of the Diuta, he also, and indeed, since he gets the rooftop rights, he also has the rights to go ahead and build out beams. Those were also left out. So basically, what it comes out, and that was the same conversation, is that basically when a person leaves over himself, he does it to the most generous level versus others that maybe he did, maybe he did not. All right, we'll skip the parentheses. Almost kamoch. Amar Rav Yosef, Rabbi Yomi, Amar Rav Nachman. No, that's the goal. There's not necessarily the reality. I'm sorry?
You also said
Yeah. Right, sure. So he wrote all his assets to others. Now, remember, giving away all the assets means that if he gets better, that he never anticipated it, and he gets it back, right? If he gives away some, then even if he gets better, that was just a gift. Now, so we see even mechalek. So he gives away little by little. So let's say the guy has all he has is a stock portfolio, right? So he gives away 30% shares to Eddie, and then he gives away 30% shares to Mark, and then he gives 40 to Meir. I was hoping if I give you the biggest portion, maybe it's that.
It's a share.
Yeah. He gets the cut, right? So, in other words, is this considered to be 100%, or maybe when he gave to Eddie, right? He gave away 30, kept 70%. Even if he gets better, that Eddie still keeps the 30. All right. So let's see. So I'm gonna so now in a case, even so if it's a little by little and mace kanukula, right? Then Amar, but if he gets better, in other words, if he dies, it gives away it all, then he gets better. So Amar, if he gets up, Chayzer, the kula, then he gets them all back. In other words, let's say it was little by little, so therefore, right? Right. So but let's say he decided first, I'm going to give away just Eddie, and that's it. And then he changed his mind, and then he says, I'm going to give another 30 to Mark. And then he changes his mind and give another 40. So if he died, everyone acquires it. However, only the last person, when he gave away the last 40%, because he left himself with 0. But when he gave Eddie, he still had 70. When he gave Mark, he still had 40 left, right? So therefore, at the time, since he changed his mind, and I'm going to give this, you know what? Then Tuman say, I'm going to give more. So once you give more, it's like a new, right? In other words, it's a new machshava. So only the last machshava was him giving away everything, where if he recuperates, then he gets that back.
And
So
the other stuff
would remain because that was a gift, even because that was a gift with him keeping some for himself. So Gemara says, maybe he was just thinking about it. Maybe that, like, in other words, he didn't change his mind. He was thinking what to do with it. First I'll give the first 30 to Eddie, right? And even though when he said give the first 30 to Eddie, he still had intentions to give away the other 70%. Doesn't make a difference. Right? So I did my unit coming. I may doing that. The Hadar Yav there we get. Square answers no. Some of the Shchimira Mide Dayik the Hadar Yav. In other words, first the guy, it's all thought out first, and then he gives it. So we're not going to say that he gave his attention, but rather that which he paused in between giving Eddie and then giving Mark is not because it was already all thought out before he gave to Eddie. So that which he gave to Mark at a second thought, there must have been a new thought, and therefore when he gave to Eddie, he was intending on keeping 70%.
Therefore, gets it back.
Well, if he dies, all the gifts are good. If he gets better, then Eddie would keep his, Mark would keep his.
They get part of it that makes it a real gift. Right?
But Mayor would not, because Mayor was the last 40%. Right.
that goes back to the estate.
That will go back to the guy if he recuperates.
Oh, to the right.
If he gets better. But remember, if he dies, it's a good gift. It's about the shchina. So remember, that's the only question we're going to be dealing with today. We're soon to see more questions like this. So Stam, a person writes all his nechassim to acherim, v'amad, and he gets better. Eina chayzer. He does, and he gets better. He's not. Does not go back. Shema yeshav nechassim b'medina acheres. All right, the guy goes ahead and he's dying. He says, "Okay, I give away my entire real estate in Highland Park." Right, you get my house in Highland Park. My entire house, all my cars, my furniture in Highland Park goes to you. The guy dies. And it gets better.
Got a place in Lincolnwood.
We don't know, right? Well, if you're living in Highland Park, then your second place is in Scottsdale, right? So he said, that he has in another place. Notice what he says, my estate. Maybe he has another place there. And therefore, if he has another place there, therefore he only gave away part of it. If you gave away part of it, that means that you anticipated getting better. So now that you got better, you can't say I didn't want to give away my house in Highland Park. So Gemara says, our Mishnah. The Kanikol Shire Karka, Koshu, if he did not go ahead and keep anything, then Matrasa Kayamas, right? So how do you find that case? Maybe the guy has a place in Scottsdale. Some Rav Chama, two answers. Either he says all my nechas. He doesn't say my house in Highland Park. He says all my estate. All my estate. And all my estate includes Highland Park and Arizona and wherever. And in Blue Ash, right? Right, Emar, right, Mar Baravashi, Emar, but Muchzak lo until less late, right? In other words, that or we know for a fact what the guy has. We know he doesn't have anything anywhere else, right? And therefore, when he gives away his estate in Highland Park, that was all he had. We're not chayishinon for any other area. Fine. Iboilo Chazara. Now here comes the question. Chazar b'mitzas havi chazara b'kulo alo. Now let's say like this. Alan, this is a little bit going in your case before. That's why this is what it was sort of reference to. Let's say a guy goes ahead and he gives all his payros to Jack, right? He gives all the payros to Jack. Then he decides, you know what? Or not his payros, all his estate, 100% of his estate to Jack. Then he says, you know what? I'm going to give 30% to Randy. Right now, remember, it only happens when the guy dies, right? That's when the kidney is, right? So, and I'm going to give 30 to Randy. So, do we say that he gave 30 to Randy and 0 to Jack? Or do we say that he gave 30 to Randy and 70% to Jack? No, it was.
So he doesn't get anything. Maybe Jack's there if you think.
Right, but there was no kidding done on it. So no, he could change, right? So, but that which he's chayzer now is, does it undo everything? Now, what's the nafkamina? Nafkamina is like this: either it's 70-30, and therefore the entire state is given away, and therefore if he gets better, none of it is given. Or do we say that Randy gets 30, Jack got 0 because he changed it, He was chayzer, it counts as chayzer and all, and therefore it's considered to be a partial gift. A partial gift is chal, even if the guy is amad, even if he gets better, right? So how do we look at chazar? That's going to be the question. So chazar makes it havi chazar, chazar b'kule. Is it considered to be everything was chazar? No. So tashma, come listen. Kula on l'rishon. If he gives everything to l'rishon, that was our case. He gave everything to Jack, right? Miktasa on the sheni. And then he says, you know what? I'm going to give 30% to Randy. So Shani kana, Rishon lo kana. Randy gets his 30, but Jack, like kana, didn't get anything. So my lav shemes is not referring to a case of when he dies, and therefore we see when he dies, or we're talking about a case where he dies. He was chayzer, therefore everything was chayzer, and therefore he gave away 30% of his estate. And the other 70%, I guess, will go to whoever the Yorshim are, right? So our answer is low. B'shamad, right? No, we're talking about a case where the guy got better. That's the reason why, right? Another shady kind of rishon lakana. No, he gets better, and that's the reason why, because it must have been he was chayzer partial. How can I stavra? It's also logical to say that we're talking about a case where the guy gets better. Why? I mean, it's only Seva. The Seva says because on the rishon. Let's say like this: he goes ahead and he gives the first thing. Let's say he gives the 30% to Jack. Right, and then he says, so now is when he gave to Jack, he was giving partial, right? Gift. That's a gift. The chulon, and then he says after the sheni, right? Everything else goes to Randy. So when he gives everything else, nothing is being saved. So in that case, rishon kana, the first person acquires the gift, right? That'll be in sheni like kana, but the second person will not get anything. So I understand the case of when he got, when he recuperated, that's why the second person didn't get anything, because once he says he gets everything else and the guy gets better, so then he not only does not get everything else, he gets nothing because he got better. It was totally on his death. When we're talking about the case where the guy dies, in such a case, Jack should get his 30 and then Randy should get the remaining. Everyone should get if he dies. So we must be talking about a case where the guy recuperates. But I don't understand. It could even be in a case of where he has shamad when he got better, right? Because Iyamar to be shlama chazara mixes havi chazara bakulu. If you say that when he's chayzer and part of it, right? In other words, he already gave it all away, and then he says, you know what? Some of it goes to somebody else. It's a chazar and kule. Hainu the sheni mias kana. That makes sense. Why the second person should have it even after the guy dies. Why? Because since he was chayzer on everything, he was chayzer on 100%, and he only gave out 30%. So therefore, 70% is nothing. Eli Yamarta chazar makes us lo yavi chazar bekulo. He's only chayzer on that part. That part is changed, but everything else is still given away. The having a mechalik lechad minayu laliknin, right? This would be a case of where, all right, this would be a person gave away everything, and therefore nobody should get anything, right? And therefore, therefore, we say the halach is that one is chayzer, and part of it that it's considered to be like he's chayzer in everything. And Reisha, in the first case, so that was a case of when the second guy gets, the first guy gets nothing. That's a case of whether the guy, whether he died or he got better. In other words, because we say that which he says everything goes to Jack, and then he says, you know what, 30% goes to Randy. 30% goes to Randy. And then the first guy, Jack, will get nothing because we'll say that the chazara of when he says 30% goes to Randy, meaning Jack doesn't get 70, Jack gets 0. Right?
Never mind.
Right, never mind. I'm giving it to 30, right? And therefore, it doesn't make a difference whether the guy got better or not. Either way, if the guy dies, Randy still gets the 30, right? And if the guy gets better, Randy still gets 30 because it was a matana. And Jack gets nothing. And Seifa, however, the Seifa, when he get right. When he only gives away part of it, and then he gives away the rest of it. That case, we only find it when he gets better, because then he would have given everything away, and that's the reason why it's not a gift. So now, what about this case? Let's say a person is makdish, thinks he's a shchimera. He says, all my property is hektish. Goes to the temple. I don't need it. My children don't need it. Goes to the hektish. The Almighty, and he gets better. Mal, what do we say over there? And do we say kolagabi hektish makni? That even though the gabi hektish, a person would give away everything. But normally a person would give away hektish everything, but not when it comes to himself. In other words,
because if you were surviving, people are everything, you want nothing left.
Right, but it could be maybe a person wants to give hektish so much that even it would go over himself.
So that he has nothing to live on.
Nothing.
Well, it's not like he has a property somewhere else because he gets everything.
Everything, right?
So that doesn't seem very shy of that feels like.
But maybe a person feels this way, right? We'll figure it out. Right? He'll right.
So for
What about this guy? Hefker called the chassid. Let's say he makes all of his nechasim hefker. Do we say Kevin the aflani kashirim makni that what, poor people can also partake of my assets, and therefore whoever wants, come take it. I want to be a good person. First come, first serve, hefker. Or a person want to do that. Or what about chilu kol nechasav la'aniyim? Or give all my aniyim to the shkal chesed fund. Do we say tzedakah vaday migmer gamer? Do we say a person gives it away, right? But even yes, tzedakah is a great thing. But when it comes to yourself, a person would not give away everything, and therefore that's, in other words, if he gets better, it should not count. Teku. So the Gemara is a teku. We'll skip the parentheses, and if we skip the parentheses, then we'll stop here for today. So tomorrow, B'ez Hashem, we will continue from here, 2 lines from the bottom. Tomorrow looks like a little bit shorter than today. So tomorrow, B'ez Hashem, we will continue. Everyone have a great day, and